What would you do if you caught your husband sleeping with your sister on your wedding anniversary? I didn't scream. I hit a record. And what I did next made them lose everything, without me lifting a finger. If you love shocking true betrayals, hit subscribe. This is Outlaw Alley and things are about to get wild. It was supposed to be a surprise. I left work early, stopped by his favourite bakery and picked up the chocolate tart he always pretended not to like, but devoured anyway. I had just enough time to set the table before Ethan got home from the gym. 6 years married, 3 since we bought this house, and I still liked making these little memories. I even wore the red dress, the one he used to say made him lose his train of thought. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something strange. My sister's car. Brielle's glossy black Lexus, parked just a little too perfectly at the curb. My first instinct wasn't suspicion, honestly, it was annoyance. She hadn't texted me in weeks, and now she was just dropping by unannounced on my birthday. I walked through the side door, balancing the box of pastries in one hand, keys in the other. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your skin itch. I took a few slow steps into the kitchen. The counter was cluttered with 2 wine glasses, a half-empty bottle of Syrah, and a lipstick I didn't own. I froze. Then I heard it. Laughter. Soft. Familiar. Coming from upstairs. My stomach flipped. I moved quietly, carefully. Each step up the stairs felt like I was climbing into a grave I didn't dig. At the top, I heard his voice. Low, breathy, and then hers, my sister's. Moaning, laughing, whispering something I'll never forget. She's too sweet for you. I give you what you really want. I didn't kick the door open. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood in the hallway with my phone pulled from my purse, camera already rolling. I watched through the crack in the door as my husband made love to my sister on our wedding bed. And I hit record. They didn't see me. I backed down the stairs like a ghost, out the door into my car, chocolate tart still in hand. I parked 2 blocks away and sat in silence. The sun was just starting to dip, casting long shadows over the windshield. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to disappear. But mostly I wanted to understand how I got here. How the man I loved and the woman I shared a childhood with could look me in the eye for years and lie so easily. But I didn't cry. Instead, I replayed the video, watched it like it was someone else's life. Then I opened a note on my phone and started a new list. At the top, I typed one word: war. That night, I didn't go home. I checked into a hotel, ordered a bottle of wine, and called the one person I knew would understand the art of silent destruction. Monica Reeves, my old roommate from college, now one of the most ruthless divorce attorneys in Austin. "I'm in," she said without hesitation. "And I'll make sure you walk out of this with everything. But first, we need evidence." The next morning, I hired a private investigator. Her name was Casey. She had tattoos, combat boots, and the patience of a sniper. "Give me a week," she said. "I'll have enough dirt to bury them both." While Casey worked, I played the good wife. Came home, cooked dinner, smiled at Ethan when he talked about CrossFit and crypto. I even pretended not to notice when he texted under the table. Every time he touched me, I wanted to scream. But I waited. Because revenge, done right, doesn't come in flames. It comes in silence, in precision, in control. 3 days in, Casey sent the first batch. Photos of Ethan and Brielle kissing in the parking garage of her apartment, receipts for hotel rooms booked under fake names, messages pulled from Ethan's iCloud because, bless his dumb little heart, he never changed his password from Ethan 123. I read everything. "I'm gonna leave her soon," he wrote. "She's boring," Brielle replied. "She'll get over it." By the end of the week, I had a full dossier. But I didn't act. Not yet. Because the more I dug, the more I realized this wasn't just cheating. This was premeditated, strategic. They were planning to take everything. my home, my name, my dignity. But they underestimated one thing. I had already started taking it all back. A week after I caught them, I started smiling more. Ethan thought I was over it, whatever invisible problem he imagined I had. I cooked more, I laughed more. I even initiated sex once just to keep him off the scent. Meanwhile, Casey, my PI, was digging deeper. And Monica was laying the groundwork for a legal ambush so devastating they'd need more than a prenup to save them. Then Casey called. "You're not going to like this," she said, "but you need to see it." She sent me a screenshot. A message from Brielle to her best friend, Tasha. "He's mine. I'm ovulating. Tonight's the night. One baby and Livy can't touch him." I felt like throwing my phone against the wall. I didn't. I just stared at the screen while a strange calm took over me. She was trying to trap him, not just steal my husband. She wanted to weaponize motherhood. She wanted to build a future on top of my broken life. But that wasn't even the worst part. Casey followed up with another bombshell, financial records showing that Ethan had recently transferred ownership of one of our joint assets, his Tesla Model S, and partial equity from a startup we invested in. Into Brielle's name, quietly, behind my back, without disclosure. That was financial fraud, and it was going to cost him everything. I forwarded everything to Monica. She replied within seconds, "Perfect. Let's bleed them legally and humiliate them publicly. I've never been so excited for court." But I wasn't ready for court. Not yet. I had one more card to play, and it had to be perfect. My 30th birthday was a week away. Ethan had already forgotten, of course, or maybe he planned to do what he'd done the past few years, buy a gift card, book a dinner last minute, and pretend he cared. But this year, I had something better planned. I rented out a rooftop bar downtown, sent digital invites to all our friends, even our parents. I called it a celebration of life and growth. And technically, I wasn't lying. Brielle RSVP'd with a heart emoji. Ethan just said, "You really went all out this year." "You only turned 30 once," I smiled. "Might as well make it unforgettable." And it was. That night, I wore a backless emerald dress. Monica stood at the bar sipping a dirty martini, looking like the executioner she was born to be. Casey handled the projector setup, and I mingled. I laughed. I hugged people I hadn't seen in years. I even let Ethan wrap an arm around my waist when we took a group photo. The perfect wife. For the last time. When everyone had eaten and the second round of drinks had been poured, I clinked my glass with a spoon and stepped up to the mic. "First off," I began, "thank you. Not just for coming, but for being in my life. It's been a wild decade. Some wins, some losses. But this past year, it taught me everything." I paused, looked right at Ethan, then at Brielle. They were smiling. "I've learned," I continued, "that sometimes the people you love the most are the ones sharpening the knives behind your back." The smiles faded, and the best gift you can give yourself is truth. I nodded toward Casey. The lights dimmed, the projector lit up, and there it was. Footage of Ethan and Brielle in bed, audio of their whispers, screenshots of texts, the pregnancy plan, the asset transfer, all of it. Silence. Then gasps. Then Brielle's voice breaking through the noise. "Olivia, what the hell are you doing?" "What I should have done a long time ago," I said, "taking out the trash." Ethan stood frozen, jaw clenched, veins bulging in his neck. My mother was crying. My dad got up and left without a word. Friends stared, phones in hand, jaws on the floor. "I'll be filing for divorce Monday morning," I announced. "I've already retained legal counsel. Oh, and Ethan, you'll be hearing from the IRS too. Transferring assets without disclosure? Naughty." Brielle rushed toward me, tears streaming, shrieking, "You're destroying our family." I didn't move. "You did that the moment you stepped into my marriage," I said. And then I walked away, martini in hand, leaving them to drown in their own disgrace. That night, I didn't cry. I danced. The morning after the party, Ethan was gone. Not a note, not a text, just gone. I found out later he checked into a hotel near the airport, probably hoping the media storm would pass or that Brielle would comfort him. She didn't, because by then my parents had already disowned her. My mother called me sobbing. I didn't raise her to be like this. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, then why did you always reward her for being selfish? I met with Monica that afternoon. Her office smelled like leather, eucalyptus, and bloodlust. She slid a folder across the table with a small smirk. Let's blow this up. Inside the folder, a full complaint filing for divorce, citing infidelity, financial misconduct, and emotional cruelty. Attached were screenshots, video evidence, witness statements from the PI, and a forensic accountant's report detailing Ethan's transfer of over $70,000 in assets to Brielle over a 4-month period. Monica looked pleased. We're not just going for fair, we're going for everything. Ethan, of course, didn't go down quietly. He hired a lawyer, some startup bro in a cheap suit who tried to paint me as cold, emotionally distant, and career-obsessed. Their strategy was to claim our marriage had been dead for years and that my controlling behaviour had pushed Ethan into Brielle's arms. Nice try. But the court didn't care about theories. They cared about facts, and I had more than enough. Still, that didn't stop Brielle from trying one last dirty move. 2 weeks before our first court hearing, I got a message request from a fake Instagram account. The profile picture was blank. The only post was a sonogram. The message said, "He's still mine. We're starting over. Enjoy your empty house." I stared at the screen for 10 straight minutes. Was she really pretending to be pregnant? Again? I sent the screenshot to Casey who, bless her relentless soul, tracked the image back to a stock photo site. It wasn't even a real ultrasound, just a Google search. Brielle was bluffing. Pathetically, desperately, and publicly. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because the next day, Casey forwarded me a voicemail recording. Brielle had called Ethan crying. I just wanted her to back off. I thought if she thought I was pregnant, maybe she'd disappear. "I'm sorry, okay? I don't want to lose everything." I sent the recording to Monica. "Let's make sure the judge hears that," I said. By the time we got to court, Ethan looked like a shadow of himself. Hollow eyes, shaky hands, like he hadn't slept in days. Brielle didn't come. I heard she'd gone to California to stay with some influencer friend while the dust settled, but the dust wasn't settling. It was only getting thicker. In court, Monica laid everything out like a well-rehearsed play. "Your Honour, my client has endured a deliberate, coordinated effort to dismantle her marriage, defraud her of marital assets, and humiliate her in the most personal, public way possible. This isn't just infidelity. It's financial manipulation, it's emotional sabotage, and it deserves a legal response that reflects the gravity of the betrayal." Ethan's lawyer tried to rebut, citing emotional pressure, mental health stress, even childhood trauma. But the judge wasn't buying it. The evidence was overwhelming. Monica leaned over to me at one point and whispered, "He's cooked." The ruling came 2 weeks later. I received all ownership of the house. The Tesla, which was returned from Brielle's name under court order, 70% of our joint savings. Legal fees covered by Ethan. Additionally, Ethan was fined for undisclosed asset transfers and placed under audit. Monica smiled as she closed the file. I hope he likes renting. But it wasn't just about winning. It was about closure. About looking at a man who once swore to protect me and realizing I didn't need him to anymore. I had done it myself. I had protected myself, saved myself, and walked away with my head held higher than ever. Later that night, I got an email from Ethan. Subject line, "No hard feelings?" I didn't open it. Instead, I poured a glass of wine, sat on the balcony of my new condo downtown, and watched the lights of Austin glow against the night sky. I thought about the girl I was a month ago, the one holding a chocolate tart, hoping to surprise her husband, and I silently thanked her. She didn't break. She evolved. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I started sleeping through the night again. No dreams, no alarms, no whispering doubts clawing at my ribs. Just silence and peace. My mornings became slower. I started drinking my coffee hot for once, instead of leaving it half full on the counter while tending to someone else's problems. I rearranged the condo 3 times until it felt like mine. No Ethan, no shadows, no lingering scent of guilt masked by cologne. It was a Tuesday when the package arrived. Plain brown envelope, no return address, my name handwritten in sharp, slanted letters I hadn't seen since childhood. Brielle. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at it for a while. Part of me wanted to toss it unopened into the trash, but curiosity can be cruel. I peeled it open. Inside was a photo of us. We were 8 and 9, sitting on the steps of our old lake house. She was braiding my hair while I laughed at something, maybe a bug in my juice or a bad joke she made. We looked happy, real, like sisters. Taped to the back of the photo was a sticky note. I know there's no fixing what I broke, but I wanted you to remember there was a time when we loved each other. That was it. No apology, no explanations, just a reminder of who we used to be. And strangely, that hurt more than if she had denied everything. Because it meant she remembered too. It meant she knew exactly what she'd thrown away. Not just a marriage, a sisterhood. I didn't respond, but I didn't burn it either. I tucked the photo in the back of my nightstand, behind a book of poetry I never finished. Maybe one day I'd throw it out, maybe not. Healing, I was learning, wasn't always about closure. Sometimes it was just about letting things be unfinished. A week later, I was walking home from the farmer's market when I saw Ethan. He was sitting outside a coffee shop, alone, staring at his phone with that same blank expression he used to wear when I talked about vacation plans or painting the living room. He looked up and saw me. For a moment, we just stared. No smiles, no nods, just recognition. He stood. "Olivia," he said, like he was testing if the name still belonged to me. "I thought you moved to Dallas," I said. "I did. Just in town for a conference." There was a long pause. "You look good," he said. I did. I knew it. I'd started lifting weights again. My skin glowed, my shoulders no longer hunched like I owed the world something. He looked like he hadn't figured out how to smile without guilt yet. "I got your email," I said flatly. He winced. "Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have sent that." "No, you shouldn't have," I agreed. He shifted. "I guess I just hoped. I don't know, that maybe someday we could talk. Really talk." I thought about the way he used to lie so easily. The way he let Brielle crawl into my life like a parasite. The way he let me doubt my sanity, gaslighted me with that soft voice and those empty promises. "No," I said. "We're done talking." And I walked away. That night, I poured a drink and sat at my desk staring at a blank Word document. A voice inside me whispered, "Tell your story." Not for revenge, not for attention, but because somewhere out there a woman was probably sitting in her car 2 blocks from her house, clutching a pastry box and wondering how her whole life just exploded. So I wrote. I wrote it all, from the first crack to the final court date. I posted it anonymously to a blog called The Quiet Divorce. It went viral in 3 days. Messages poured in. "You told my story." I stayed quiet too. "I'm filing this week, thank you." I wasn't alone. None of us were. Forgiveness, I realized, didn't always need a spoken apology. Sometimes it was choosing to live better, louder, freer than the version of you who once stayed silent. I didn't forgive Brielle because she sent a photo. I didn't forgive Ethan because he looked broken. I forgave myself for trusting people who didn't deserve it, for waiting so long to speak, for shrinking to fit into someone else's version of love. And with every word I typed, I made room for the new version of me, the one who wouldn't let betrayal be the end of her story. 6 months later, I didn't recognize the woman in the mirror, and I loved her for that. She stood straighter. Her eyes didn't scan rooms for emotional landmines. Her smile didn't need permission. I had redecorated my condo in a warm, earthy palette. Deep greens, burnt oranges, clean whites. My therapist said it felt like a forest. Safe, alive, self-sustaining. I liked that. I was my own forest now. I started teaching a creative writing workshop at the local library. Nothing fancy, just once a week. Mostly women, mostly bruised in ways they weren't ready to write about yet, but they showed up, and so did I. One woman shared a piece about the first time she realized her husband's late meetings were actually dinners with someone else. Another wrote about her daughter choosing her ex over her. After a messy split, their voices cracked, their hands shook, but they wrote. So did I. I turned the blog into a newsletter. The Quiet Divorce had over 40,000 subscribers by December. I was featured on a podcast. Someone called me the therapist for women who don't want therapy. I laughed at that. But in a way, I got it. Sometimes you just want to know you're not crazy, that someone else saw the same fire and didn't let it burn them to ash. One night, I got a DM from someone named Rainwalker97. No profile photo, just a short message. I was the other woman once. I never realized how much damage I caused. I read your blog. I cried. I'm trying to be better. I stared at the message for a while. I didn't reply, but I didn't delete it either. Maybe some people weren't beyond redemption. Just beyond my capacity to carry. Around the holidays, my mum called. We talked about pie recipes and what colour lights to put on the tree. It felt normal, not forced. She didn't mention Brielle. Neither did I. But before we hung up, she said, "I'm proud of the woman you've become." And for the first time in years, I believed her. One rainy afternoon in January, I stood at my window with a cup of tea and watched the clouds roll over the Austin skyline. A new email came in. Subject line, "Book deal?" An editor had found my blog. She said my voice was quiet thunder, that people needed more than a blog, they needed a book. She asked if I'd be open to expanding the story, weaving in others, making it something bigger. I said yes. That night, I opened a fresh document and typed the first line. This is a love story, just not the kind you expected. Because that's what it was, really. Not a story of revenge, or destruction, or even justice. It was a story of a woman who finally chose herself. I never saw Ethan again after that coffee shop encounter. I heard he moved to Denver. Tried to start a consulting firm, got engaged to a real estate agent. I wish her luck, not out of sarcasm, out of genuine hope that maybe he learned. Maybe he didn't. But that's not my business anymore. As for Brielle, she tried to relaunch her influencer brand 6 months after the fallout. It didn't work. The internet doesn't forget. Neither do women. Last I heard, she was working at a wellness spa in California, teaching breathwork to tech bros. I hope she found whatever peace she couldn't find when she looked at me. But again, that's not my story. Mine is simpler now. I wake up early. I write. I take long walks without looking over my shoulder. I buy fresh flowers. I light candles just because. I say no more often. I say yes with intention. I love quieter, but deeper. And every now and then when someone asks me if I believe in second chances, I say yes. But not for them. For us. For the women who stayed too long, who gave too much, who thought loving someone meant breaking yourself in half, just to fit in their arms. For the women who forgot their own voice while memorizing someone else's excuses. For the ones who hit record, walked away and rebuilt everything, brick by bloody brick. Because here's what I know now. You don't have to scream to be strong. You don't have to burn bridges to move on. You don't have to win in court to feel free. You just have to choose yourself every single day. That's the real happy ending.